someone looking at a picture of Jim and Harper. Who's looking at this photo? Duh. This little sick freak.
He knows everything.
Welcome back, everybody, to And Just Like Yap. I'm Caroline.
I'm Andi.
And we are back for Industry Season 4, Episode 4. We're halfway through this season. God knows how. And this is 1,000 Utes. One Maryland is the name of the episode. How are we feeling?
At first, when the episode started, I was like, okay, this is a lot of setup. It's a lot of jargon. I don't know what an emotional effect it will have on me.
Yeah.
And then by the end, I was like, I'm unwell. I can't go to sleep. I can't think about anything else. It was very upsetting.
Yeah. So we're back with our Harry Styles lookalike, Jim Diker. He's with this woman who's like, we can tell she's a journalist as well, and she's talking about how she's pitched a piece on dating discourse. And Jim is paranoid. There's a car that's been idling outside his apartment, and he thinks that like it's probably linked to his piece about Tinder. And she starts talking about this woman who's fucked 1,000 guys in 24 hours for content. Are you familiar with this at all?
I did hear about this. I think I went down like a small internet rabbit hole about this when I heard about it.
I started hearing about it on a podcast I listened to last year. Her name is Bonnie Blue, and she's an OnlyFans creator. And Jim says he's like, she was fucking a number. She's not fucking people, she's fucking a number. But we see that someone's gotten into Jim's kitchen. We don't know what's like happened. We sort of seen the detritus of that. We also saw she's carrying a baby into the house. We're learning a little bit more, seeing the inside of Jim's apartment, because we've only kind of seen him in the Thin Digest lens and with Haley. So we don't really know more about him.
Yeah, I got excited at first. I was like, oh, I wonder if this is going to be a bottle episode like all about Jim Diker and his whole backstory. And like parts of it were.
And we find out he's a father, and he's back into his like burning his retinas as all these characters do on the show. At least he's maybe wearing blue light glasses. I can't really tell what these
That's
are.
going to be a piece of merch for us. And just like, yeah, purple blue light glasses.
Don't burn your retinas, and it says on the side of the glasses. Shaking that Ritalin. And Jim's boss calls him, telling him that they've heard from Tinder's counsel in response to the article, and that their calls are like just as subtle as a Slade song. In truth, I forgot to look up what a Slade song is. Is this a phrase?
I got you. I was curious about this. Slade is an English glam rock band, so think like... I listened to a couple songs, and I realized that I was familiar with them. That song, Come On, Feel the Noise. That's them.
Oh, sure.
So, yeah, the line subtle as a Slade song means not fucking subtle at all.
Exactly. And we find out that they're threatening injunction, threat, defamation, all the biggies. And his boss is like, well, they're a proxy for the Norton Media Group. The boss seems to be on his side about everything.
And he was, telling Jim, like, don't have any more relationship with whoever these traders are that you've been talking to, because it looks bad.
It looks bad, and I'm trying my best to help you. Because it's like very much like when you talk to a kid and they're like, no, I didn't do that. And you're like, you actually did that. So that's like
I watched you do it.
I watched you spill the milk in the other room. We know what's going on. And Jim goes outside, and he approaches the car. It's been idling out there, and he's like, why are you watching my house? He's like, brother, I'm waiting for my girl. And then he hawk to us at Jim, and to really make his impression known, and that we get to our credits. So things for Jim don't feel like we're setting a really good foundation. It's like he's supportive, but I'm like worried for our guy. I'm worried for our guy right now. He's on the phone with Harper and Eric. They're telling him your article is a non-event. It helped her short for all of 20 minutes. And Jim's really trying to make his case that this follow-up's going to be the thing that hits the nail on the head for Tinder. We go back to Tinder headquarters, and we're arguing about what the actual look of the app is going to look like. Henry is not happy with like showing like the crypto piece on it. And Robin is like our head of comms, who's got like a lot to say, who's like the only one who probably has any sort of sense in this room.
100%. And that's why he sticks out like a sore thumb on this show.
We find out PurePoint has gotten a huge piece of the real estate on the Tinder app. Henry is arguing, pushing back about this. Why is this so prominent? And Yaz, again, is in the room, even though she probably shouldn't be in the room, and is like speaking up. She's like, well, trying to back up Henry, and the tone matters to our backers. And we find out that Whitney cleared that this is his brainchild, that Pure Point is on here. And Henry is obviously upset about that because Pure Point ruined everything with Lumi. So he obviously has like his own sort of chip on his shoulder about all of this. He's like, we're not, making them grow their wealth in this instance with our app.
It was interesting to see Pure Point come back because, like, I don't know, it's sort of like how New York is a character in Sex and the City. I was like, oh, Pure Point.
But we're back in the hotel, and we're breaking down, like, what the actual finance that we actually have at Stern Towel, showing the fund is using borrowed money to amplify its exposure. So it means that they don't own all of the money that they actually have in their fund currently, so that they can look better to other investors and continue to grow the fund, which is like, like dating. You put on a bigger show of like what your actual assets are, and then you look beneath the hood and you're like, wait a minute, this is a little fraud.
I am often in a bad mood and I never shave my legs. Oops.
Interesting. Your mattress is on the floor. What about that?
I didn't get that from your initial representation of yourself.
Didn't get that when I heard about your BA in finance. So we find out the total amount of money that they have is $500 million is what they're working with.
You can go ahead and write 250 plus 250 equals 500 on the board for me because I need this whole show spelled out for me. So go ahead.
They were like, this is the point where actually, okay, everyone watching the show is not in it for the finance. They're in it for the drugs and the fucking, but we do need to explain what is going on so everything else makes sense. We love a whiteboard moment. We need all the whiteboard moments we can get in this show. Like, at least like one an episode would be nice. And we are back at Tinder headquarters, and Whitney and Ferdinand are meeting with Almiraj Pierpoint, and we're going tete-a-tete now about like Whitney. Whitney is the villain we need, and I don't like him.
Yes. Such an ominous character in like absolutely everything he does. Yeah, Whitney's so evil.
Whitney is so evil. I'm hoping at some point we get more of a background about him, because obviously we alluded to the fact that he comes from nothing.
This show seems to be very purposefully holding off on giving us all of Whitney's lore. Like, we still haven't seen what he's doing in Africa. We don't know his backstory. And now that we're 4 episodes in, we are getting a lot of that for other people, but not him.
And people are starting to question Whitney's motives, which I think is like good. We're finally sort of getting to that with some of our other characters. But he's fighting with them, trying to big dog Almiraj Pierpoint, saying that the copy should be Tinder powered by Pierpoint and not Pierpoint powered by Tinder, because we are now fighting back and forth about who is actually number one? Who's the number one guy in the group, to quote Vanderpump Rules? You're a dinosaur. Digital future is the way, which is always like when you hear people talk about crypto and stuff like that, they're always like, yeah, this is the future. And I hate to tell you, at least for me as a normal person who's like not looking into finances, I'm never going to look at crypto. I mean, NFTs, that lasted all of like 3 seconds?
Girl, I use the snipping tool for everything. I want a picture of. I don't need to buy it.
Amen.
You get a picture of whatever you want. You want a picture of Garfield? Take a screenshot of Garfield.
And our girl is like, I assumed all of this had been already negotiated. Like, because she thought she was walking into, like, a conversation of everything being a done deal. And Whitney, of course, is, like, ruffling the feathers and the roughage here. And she's like, in the hope of asking you to solidify the partnership. And they want another $1 billion from Pierpoint. They are rightly shocked. Their faces in response for the ask for $1 billion. And we cut back to Yaz is like, I think we should be featuring Henry more prominently, leaning into the tech side of fintech. We need like a buzzy launch named entertainment. Now I'm laughing about this, his comment about Charlie XCX expounding on the virtues of a digitized spending report, because in her movie The Moment that came out this weekend, there's a whole plot line about there being a brat debit card, and it crashes all of this stuff, and they're like, wait, this gay credit card is crashing a bank. So it's like kind of funny that this is like a throwaway line, but it's a plot line in the movie.
That's really funny. There's no way they could have known, right? Because if they're coming out at the same time, that's really funny.
And we are back at our hotel headquarters, and Sweet Pea is saying, I think it might be smart to de-risk a little. And, of course, that is Harper's least favorite word, de-risk. Because if there's anything this girl runs on, it's sex and risk. Often at the
Correct.
same time.
Sometimes the two at the same time.
Yeah.
Exactly. She needs to like slam like a Monster Energy and jump out of a plane, because like this level of like needing this much elevated risk all the time is like dangerous.
It's crazy. And it's just like, at this point, like, hunt humans for sport, Harper. Like, I just go back to the muck headquarters and like start hunting these people.
Yeah, ask them if they want to play the most dangerous game. Get Henry Muck running around naked in the woods.
I know. She's ready for it. She does not want to be like any run-of-the-mill long short. And our boy is like, well, all right, well then we're going like to fucking black on market manipulation stuff. And we find out Sweet Pea's been talking to Jonah Atterbury, and he's replying. And of course, immediately I was like, oh, I know how she got his angle. Using that OnlyFans for only Sweet Pea's gain. And I was like, that's our girl, dressed like Cher Horowitz here in her little blazer.
Yes, absolutely.
Back at Tinder headquarters, it's a lot of back and forth, like a lot of talks with people, a lot of business talk this episode. And of course, Yaz is like, he needs to be featured on more lifestyle podcasts. And Robin is like, the fuck? And he says the line of the episode, there should be a fucking tariff on podcast equipment, which, okay, as two people who do own podcast equipment,
sure.
But we are women. So I think
we're allowed.
We're excluded from this conversation.
We are. Yeah, I laughed really hard at that. That's a great line. Incredible writing.
Incredible line. Then we cut to someone looking at a picture of Jim and Harper talking. We're like, who's looking at this photo? Duh. Mm-hmm. This little sick freak.
He knows everything. And this is what I said, I can't remember which episode, like, it kind of seemed like he almost knew that morning after he and Harper boned two ways.
Yeah.
It kind of seemed like he knew that she was on the phone with Jim Diker, at the very least. Like, everything this man does is purposeful, so could have something to do with that guy in his car that's been outside Jim Diker's apartment. Hard to tell if he's just paranoid or if maybe this is it. It also just looks like a paparazzi photo.
Whitney reminds me of the brain, of Pinky and the Brain.
Oh my God, yes.
And Henry's being used as Pinky.
That's very apt. I love that.
Yeah. And we find out Yaz has come in and she's like, I think we need to reconfigure how the app launch is being positioned. And she's like, well, I want to give Henry a pulpit. And he's like, well, I'm a little disappointed in him. I thought he was hiring a rock star, but he's like a fucking ghost in our meeting with PRA. And she's like, well, his confidence is coming back. Yaz brings up a path for Haley at the company. And she lightly mentions that she could help us with Jim Diker. And Whitney makes this line that's like, bright young things attract bright young things. And I was like, yeah. This feels very ominous, and I don't know what this is alluding to.
Yeah, this is the first of a few things that Whitney says that, again, lead me to believe he knows everything. You know how, like, in, like, murder mysteries, like, the paintings have eyes or whatever?
Oh, yeah!
Like, what if, like, Whitney was in the, like, Hitler painting, like, looking out, like, the turret?
Oh, my God! Jean Parmesan?
Jean Parmesan! Jean, he got me again!
And he was like, what's going on with your friend Harper, by the way? And he was like, I got a suspicion her venture's short. And of course, Yaz immediately, I was like, oh no. This girl's wheels are immediately going. She's like, she's probably being spurred on by her former boss. And it's like, all right, before we were concerned about Harper, I think, taking Tinder down and like screwing over Yaz, when it's like, actually, here comes Yaz. She's ready to go right back at Harper. And she's like, I can think of a comms angle to deal with them. And we go to this car in an alley. Oh, yeah. And we're like, who is this? What's happening? This guy's asking for drugs, and it's Rishi. Rishi, our boy, is now selling drugs. There's a girl, some blonde we haven't met yet, in the front seat with Rishi. And we get the most horrifying going down on him while Rishi films the top of her head and he holds her hair. It's all dark. It's all very bad and dark. And we go back to Tinder. He tells Haley, assist Yaz with whatever she needs at the launch. And she's like, well, you don't need her in Ghana. And then the most diabolical line reading. She's supposed to split it with the load with Henry. So let her take half of his load off you. So it makes you wonder, does Whitney know?
Again, was he peeking through
the...
that painting? Did he have his eyes in the castle turrets?
Haley's left with this kind of face, like, hi, referencing that.
Hello.
Now our girl, Sweet Pea, she has got Jonah on the horn. We start calling this number, and she's like, did I get you at a bad time?
Oh my God.
And Jonah is where these men go for, their afternoon wings. They're at the strip club. He at first thinks that she's calling him as like an OnlyFans thing. And she's holding this little like
trident.
And we find out she pulls the rug out from under Jonah and says, I have a slightly ulterior motive for my call. I want to talk to you about Tinder and how they make their money. And of course he's like, what the fuck? Girl, I know
He's like, I'm here to see boobies.
She's like sussing this out. She's like just trying to get nuggets of encouragement because she's a research analyst, trying to like figure out, get to the bottom of what's actually going on. And she's like, I just want to see if the incentive outweighs their incentive to stay silent. And he's like, well, I'm a little loaded for riddles right now because our guys probably had like 5 vodka sodas before he started talking to Sweet Pea. And Sweet Pea is like getting to him while he's in a vulnerable space, like saying like, I imagine you have a bone to pick with them. And he's like, well, I'm in the middle of suing that prick for defamation. So we have this like sort of like back and forth. He's like going to get a lap dance while we're like negotiating the terms so Sweet Pea can get information on Tinder. But we find out that the emails have been subpoenaed, but a lot of them are redacted and they have access to gigs of emails. So anything not pertaining to him is redacted. But the more he's like getting distance from this situation, I see us blinded by history with him. He's going to send her the emails. I hope I brought you pleasure in unexpected ways. And he says, do me the courtesy of burying him deep enough that his kind don't respawn.
This was a very smart move on Sweet Pea's part, and I appreciated that Jonah was like, go for it, and like, maybe this will help him out in the long run too, because
totally.
Jonah sucks, but he did get fucked over.
But he got fucked over. He's like the lesser of the two evils. Like, he's just like outrightly bad, but he's not trying to screw anyone over. And we are back at Tinder headquarters, and Yaz and Henry are there. And again, Henry's asking the question we're all asking, why the fuck is Whitney in Africa again?
I do think it's interesting, and we'll see more of this in a second, that he really wants to have a good heart. Like,
I know.
He was sold on this idea of Tinder being like a democratizing force in finance, like for the little people. And he like still wants to believe that because he so badly doesn't want us to be like a useless, wealthy, upper crust person. Like, he really wants to make like a positive impact.
And Bud, this man doesn't want to fail again. He's been cucked once before. He won't be cucked again. And he almost killed himself. This man is like a shell of like what he has been previously. And he's like, he doesn't have it in him to be torn apart again. And she's like, well, do you believe in this company? And he's like, do you have any idea how tiring it is to have people constantly question your integrity? And she's like, babe, that's my whole life, you know? And he's like, ugh, why are you like making me lean into the most egoistic part of myself? Because she's like, without it, Henry, nothing would fucking happen. Unfortunately, she's right. And of course, she starts this meeting. Like, she's like, well, we're supposed to be waiting for Robin, but I think we should just crack on. Yaz starts pitching an article that's going to take down our girl Harper, saying there's more of a tip towards a scandal. That I have this journalist that's been working with a short in their predatory hedge fund activity. Robin tries to say, well, I don't think Whitney agrees on this. And out of nowhere, like a ghost like Haley, actually I do, and Whitney's been on speaker the whole time.
Yeah, Whitney is trying to embarrass Robin.
Whitney saw the strategy behind Yaz and what she's willing to do to take down her friend Harper. And he's like, this is a person who has my set of morals, which is none.
We've got matching no morals.
Yeah.
Yaz is playing like a really scary, successful log con here of like, she uses the fact that like she basically controls the press angle to her advantage. Like, she's becoming such like a scary, scary figure on this show.
And I think like right now she thinks she and Whitney are on the same page, and she's gonna find out that like her sense of power is as much as like Whitney's letting her have. They thank Yaz, and she's feeling very self-righteous in this moment. She's like gotten everything on her side. Whitney says, stay on the line. Robin, you're not needed. Oh my God. This is the beginning of Robin's downfall.
Yep.
And Whitney is like, you're right. Robin's not aggressive enough. He's a little bitch. Sorry. She's like, well, what proof do you have? And he's like, I've got photographic evidence. Harper Co., whatever the fuck they're calling themselves, they don't have the capital to touch us. And Yaz is like, well, I'm going to invite her in. And she knows how much she's bound to lose. And Whitney is now asking, he's like, do you think she's short because of Diker? And she's like, well, morality might as well be fucking Latin to her. Well, which, yes, it's also the same to you. Like,
I know, like, the call's coming from inside the house. Babe.
Jesus, babe, listen to yourself. And we get this shot of Yaz now at the head of the table, but it's empty. So I think this is sort of just like, you know, very symbolic, I think, of the fact that she thinks she's the queen bee, but really it's to no one. We cut to baby Hugo, who's just looks like a little middle-aged man, a little British gentleman playing with the tea set. And Rishi is like so downtrodden. He asks, does he know who I am? And Rishi sees this piece of paper in front of Diana's mother, and we see that, like, upside down, we're trying to do a name change with Hugo. He's losing any, like, ounce of ownership to Rishi. He's now going to become Hugo Smith. And Rishi asks the most heartbreaking question, will I ever get to be alone with him? And Mary's like, I don't think that would be a good idea. You don't get to set any terms, I'm afraid. He's literally signed up all power he has away. Jim has made his way to Web Horizon. Haley confronts Yaz in the depths of Web Horizon that he's in the audience. And Yaz is, like, not bothered by it. She's now in, like, girl boss mode. And she's like, let him watch. And she's like, if he's making you uncomfortable, we can tell him to leave. And she asks, do you suffer from anxiety? And she's like, well, try magnesium. Just after what happened between us, she's like, well, we're all consenting adults. And this is when I was like, oh no, Yaz is becoming her father.
Yep. 100,000%. The whole threesome interaction, like, yes, Haley did consent to it.
Right.
Like, Henry even asked, but it did leave the viewer with questions of, like,
morally gray area because they work together. She's his assistant, and so she's like rebranding like what's happening and like saying like, you know, trying to gaslight Haley in this whole interaction. And she's like, you enjoyed it, so it can't be that's making you uneasy. And this is when she like weaponizes Calabasas against her. It's like, now you're the one who instigated it. You know, you're the one making a good thing bad. He came in, and Jim came into your house under false pretenses. She's now reframing the entire narrative around Jim as well. You don't remember what happened, telling her how she remembers it. I mean, God knows what happened. The price of his action is your trauma. Again, another buzzword that we're weaponizing. You can't let him take away your agency as well. And she's like, I'm right. It was assault. And Yaz is like, sort of has this look as she hugs her that she's like, did I do the right thing here? You see her like question what she's doing for a second, and then she snaps back.
Yeah, and that whole interaction was so dark to like tell Haley like, wait, you're just sublimating this. Like, you're really upset that, you know, you got like assaulted by this guy in your home. You're not upset about what happened between us. It was totally normal and fine.
I'm a cool boss. You fucked my husband. Let me get you a margarita after.
Oh my God.
So bad. And then our boy doing some push-ups, getting ready for his big talk. He questions Whitney to his face. What is this fucking disappearing act with you going to Africa? And he was like, yeah. I was just smoothing the adoption of our app. And he's like, Henry, I hired you. You're a man I'm incapable of lying to. I was like, why aren't they kissing?
The sexual tension between these two in this episode was palpable and significant. Crazy.
And then he's like really trying to like gloss over everything to Henry. Like there's nothing he's hiding with him when really we know he's hiding everything. And he's using Henry as a puppet. And we get our girl from last week, Lisa. That's her name. She's like, I don't understand why you're the appointed pet of the labor secretary, but I'm here. You got your pussycat with 9 lives. And she's like, you know, you have an inappropriate relationship with a certain precocious junior minister in my department, Jennifer Bevan,
yep.
And Jennifer is in the audience. Harper's in the audience looking on, and she sees Jim. We have all the world's a stage, and all of our players are in the audience. And Henry is having a panic attack. I don't think I can do this. He asks for a lorazepam, buzzword of the year. And Yaz gives in, and she is like, you know, if you need to, of course you can. And Henry's like, why would you do that to me? You know that's not an option. So it's like, was Henry testing Yaz here?
It kind of seems like it.
Yeah.
It kind of seems like it.
Bad.
There's definitely fractures in their relationship.
They're fighting. How dare you say that to me right now? And she's like, why can't you accept that I want what's best for you? At the worst time possible, Henry is brought to the stage. So Henry walks out to this audience, the worst nightmare where it's like you have to pretend everyone's naked, everyone's silent, there's like not an applause or anything. And he starts yammering on around a bunch of buzzwords, and Whitney's like, okay, this isn't going well. And then Henry goes off script, and he's like, I'm going to be sincere with all of you for a moment. It's like, I understand, believe me, even with the blinkers of my privilege, again, more buzzwords, like he's trying to act like I'm a normal guy. I'm incapable of empathy. I'm only human. Robin's like, he's laying it on a bit thick. Will anyone buy this? And she's like, if he buys it, they will. Sincerity is now the world's rarest commodity. Not at Tinder, not under my watch, and everyone loses their shit over this, like, speech that literally meant nothing.
It is hollow words because all of the things he was guaranteeing, he absolutely cannot guarantee. He is just the face of the company. He did what Henry does best, which is, you know, be handsome, say a bunch of shit that, like, sounds meaningful but is actually meaningless. Like, this is what he was hired to do.
And Harper, obviously, is like, okay, that was a lot of words. That was a word salad.
It was a word salad.
Yaz immediately went like a proud stage mom is like, see what happens when you listen to me? And Henry goes past her to hug Whitney. And Yaz realizes she sees the friction immediately. And Whitney is also a little taken aback that he went to him, but he like takes it in stride. Now, I got so excited that the Amelia DeMoldenberg chicken shop date sighting, playing Hannah, asking the finance journalist, asking about, like, AI. I was like, oh, incredible cameo. Incredible. Love her so much. Great. This was amazing. And we hear a voice from the back asking what Tinder actually does. It's our boy Jim, and he says, well, what does it do? They're like, well, what do you mean? What do we do? And Whitney tries to act like he sees his game. You're a friend from Finn Digest, right? Great piece, by the way. Really well researched, really condescending, because we know that article really got nowhere. Jim tells them, he's like, well, your numbers don't stack up. Whitney tries to act like, oh, we're transparent. We're regularly audited. And then he cuts him at the knees where he says, in your processing facilities in Sunderland. He's like, well, we've got outposts. And they process payments all over Africa. Harper is like watching from back. Now you see Yaz is caught off guard. This is news to her. Yaz sees there's more to this. She's like, I maybe have put too much trust into Whitney without her saying anything. We're back at Finn Digest, and Jim's boss asks him if we can talk. And we find out they're trying to really expose everything with Jim, that there's heavy allusions to you being a drug user. His boss is telling him he's sort of got his hands tied. And he shows him the photo that they have of him talking to Harper. He's like, well, of course I've spoken to short sellers. And he's like, come on, I expect the support of my editor. And he tries to tell him, I used to be like you. And like, then I stopped and my world got better. Oof. And says, who's Haley Clay? And Jim knows he's fucked. And he's like, she works at Tinder. And he tells him that, he's like, well, they're saying that you assaulted her. He's like, I never fucking touched her. He's like, well, they're pressing charges. And he's like, not to make this into disciplinary matter, but like, you know that when you went to her flat, you're making a fatal fucking error of judgment. And he's right. And our boy's fired. And he's left vulnerable. It's bad. Things are bad.
It's bad.
Sweet Pea is saying what we've been saying this whole time. She's burning her retinas out, saying what we've all been yelling at over here at And Just Like Yap. These people need blue light glasses. You need to be looking away from the screen every 30 seconds. That's what they say. My God. Ugh. Okay, I'm glad she said it. But she's been looking at the emails. There's a guy who keeps popping up called Tony Day, and she's found him on LinkedIn. He's a CFO of Tinder in Africa, and we find out he's failed at a lot of different companies, and Harper's like, yeah, but meteoric overpromotion even for a white guy. There's pictures of him getting a $50 million acquisition, and it closed with a novelty check. Lots of questions.
Oh my God. Also, like, the white guy wearing the, like, traditional African garb.
And she's like, well, that's what they pay for this third-party processor. Presentation as pretense. I mean, he looks like the hated chairman of a lower league football team. Like, what? She's like, has anyone gone to Accra and knocked on their door? So I was like, hell yeah. It's time. We're going to Africa. Field trip.
We've got a girls' trip coming, and I can't wait for it.
A girls' trip for collusion. Now we go back to Tinder, and the coup continues. And Whitney tells Robin that Yaz is going to be co-running communications. He's like, you're a little trad for what we want to do next. I'm like, oh my God. And Robin's like, well, this isn't a startup. And you should Google the Dunning-Kruger effect. And Andi?
Do you want me to tap in? Okay, so the inability of people to analyze their own performance in something. So it's the idea that you're overly confident about things you don't know about because you don't know about them. So it's like not having enough information and credentials to actually do something means that you don't know that you're doing a bad job at the thing either. Like, you don't know what you don't know. So basically he's saying, like, the two of you don't actually know what you're doing. You so don't know what you're doing that you don't know how badly you're doing what you're doing because you don't know how to do it.
And I hope that Robin is hanging out in St. Bart's having a cocktail because, like, this man has been dealing with weaponized incompetence left and right. And Robin's gone. Whitney, like, gives Yaz her flowers. You stopped the story from running. You deserve this. And then Whitney says, well, Haley's yours if you want her, but you, me, and Henry, we ride together, we die together. So this feels like some nasty foreshadowing about, like, I don't know what's going to happen.
I wouldn't put it past, like, a threesome between these people. Okay,
at this point, Yaz thinks she has one up on Haley. And we're about to find out, actually, that's not the case. She says, Whitney gave me the green light to promote you. Comms role under me. And Haley's like, it's not like I haven't been sexually harassed before. I was a child model, for fuck's sake, which is a crazy piece of lore. And we see Yaz's eyes turn on here. And Haley's like, you're really promoting me because you really rate me, right? She's like, I'm thinking about, like, how, like, I sucked your husband's cock.
Yeah, she was like, I thought maybe that's why you promoted me.
Why did it feel like it was your cock in my mouth? And she's like, I liked that. And Yaz is like...
Like, did she recognize that, like, she could, like, do something sexual with Yasmin and then use that information to her advantage? Did she find out what happened with, like, Whitney's former assistant and now she's trying to get payback on Tinder? Like, I need to know more about, like, what her motivation is and what her plan is.
I feel like it was probably that last conversation with Yaz. I think once it was like Yaz is using her like Whitney uses her, then now she's flipping the script. Because now she's like, actually, I see how much power you don't have, Yaz. So, like, you're not as smart as you think you are. We cut back to Whitney, and they're like, we find out that PurePoint has offered the financing we asked for. It triggers back onto them that they get more if the stock falls below a certain threshold. And Whitney's like, but that's not going to happen. And Henry thinks Whitney's like, everything you said to me before I went out, your belief meant a lot.
Thank you for such encouraging word salad. Yum, yum, word salad.
Thank you for giving me a little encouragement boner. I really needed it, boss.
Whitney is like, there's nothing more toxic than privileged people who are intellectually insecure. And I couldn't believe this. Henry's like, if you're talking about my wife, just come out and say it. And I'm like, where?
Jim is doing coke in a nondescript place. He's bad.
And
crying. We hear Rishi saying, like, no, these shitters are horrific for doing gear. Somehow these two untouchables have met up. Oh, shit. They're in the bathroom together. And they go outside, and Jim is like, I recognize you. I'm sorry about what happened to your wife. And Jim asks him, like, he starts getting, like, really poking into, like, about Diana dying and is like, you saw it. And this guy approaches them and he's like, I've seen this guy operate outside here. He's like a spooky PCP and he's gonna mug you. London's full of shitheels just like on the take. And they're like, oh yeah, do you want a pint? Oh, I could go in on half. And they go to this man's apartment without asking questions. And he's telling them, this one's on me, lads. Jim is like, I'm going to Accra next week. I'm going to self-publish this article. He's like, someone's going to pick it up. Trust me. And this guy starts messing with the music throughout all of this. And I'm trying, like, I didn't know what was really going on here. I was like, is he high? Like, what's happening?
This whole, 5 minutes, it was like watching Uncut Gems. It raised my blood pressure. The whole thing with the stereo, I couldn't really figure it out either, but I also just feel like the effect that it has on the scene of just full sensory overload, stress, it also seems like he's sort of almost controlling their high as far as the louder it gets, the more aggravated they get. So
I also had the thought, I was thinking because he's turning it up so high, I was like, is he gonna kill them?
Yeah, he was just trying to pick the right song. I was like, don't take a cigarette from this other guy, they're laced and he's gonna take advantage of you. I was like, is he just describing what he's about to do to these guys? So yeah,
why are we trusting a random man off the street? That's the last thing you should ever do, is trust a random man coming up to you off the street. Jim just won't let this go, and he's asking him did you disassociate when your wife died? And you see Rishi's out of it because he's brought this up, and he's talking, and then while Jim is talking about he watched a woman getting dog pounded, which is what I'm assuming DP'd is.
I don't think that's what that means. I'm sorry, I'm not making fun of you. I just love this. I'm pretty sure it means double penetrated.
Oh. I hate this show.
Dog pounded.
I miss it just like that.
Dog pounded. I love it. I love it. What does that even mean?
Like, I felt like a gangbang. I'm really sad.
We got it. We can get through it.
Okay.
Oh my god. Ooh.
Okay. Rishi is like having visions of Diana while he's talking about this. And Jim is commentating like, we're just inner passive spectators, you know, good or bad. We're stuck on a wheel of production and consumption. It's streamed in glorious 4K. And then he's like, maybe I should just like kill myself. And they're yelling at him to turn the music down. And Rishi's like, why are you laughing? You don't know what it's like to be a father. Jim's like, actually, I'm a father. It doesn't change a thing. You're in his life. You're out his life. We're all overwhelmed. Rishi goes to the bathroom. He, like, opens the toilet. There's a massive bag of Coke in there.
I don't live here, but I know my way around.
Yeah, I know that. He's like, let me check the likely places. Oh, and he goes out. Jim is unresponsive. The police are at the door. There's complaint about noise. Oh, and he's like, can you open the door? God, Rishi's just like, he can't catch a break. There's no way out because he's like, this looks bad no matter what because the other guy is left. He exited the apartment. It's just Rishi and Jim. He's looking over the stairwell. He's questioning everything he's doing. He hears them closer. They've got an adult male unconscious, not breathing. Rishi's looking over the stairwell. He jumps. The body thuds. Rishi is not dead.
Oh, God. Oh, gosh.
As they're playing Forever Young over him.
Oh, God.
And Rishi's just, like, caught looking out to camera. And that's the end, everybody.
I had so much trouble, like, processing it right afterward. Like, I was like, I wish I hadn't seen it. The whole thing just made me so upset because he decides to jump off, I think, in that moment because he had talked about, like, killing himself. I think he was thinking, like, maybe this is how I get out of it is I just die. And he doesn't die. He just royally fucks up the lower half of his body and he still gets arrested. So now he's going to be in jail with, like, these horrible injuries. I don't know. It's just, it's so much worse.
It's just, like,
it's so awful.
Sad and tragic.
Maybe Jim's dead.
So we're at the halfway point. Lots of moving chess pieces about who's in power. It seems like Haley and Whitney have won over all of them. Preview next week, we're going to Africa. It's focused around Sweet Pea. I'm nervous about what's going to happen there. I'm hoping we're starting to get more answers about like what really is going on with Whitney in Africa. I hate that we're leaving on a bad note, and I had to learn that it didn't mean dog pounded. So,
honestly, that brought levity to my spirit.
But thank you for joining us. This was sad and depressing. Go for a walk around the block. Get your vitamin D because...
it's not going to get better from here.
It's not going to get better from here. Find us on Instagram and TikTok. Let us know in the comments how you're feeling. And if you also thought DP meant getting dog pounded. All right. We'll see you soon, everybody. Bye.